Welcome to the 60 Plus Podcast.
I'm Janet.
I'm Joe. How are you, Janet?
Yes, I am very well, thank you. How are
Yes,
you?
I am very well. Yes,
Good, good to hear. Yes,
that's good.
that's wonderful.
We are now officially in the triple digits of episodes.
101.
Episode 101. Yep. Didn't we see something a while ago that, like, most podcasts fail after like 7 episodes or something?
Yeah, 5. I think it was 5. So
Okay.
we've
Well surpassed that.
multiplied that many times over.
Yes, we have.
I could do the math if I had a moment to think about it.
If you had a moment in
20
a
times
calculator.
over. 20 times over.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today, Janet?
It's a nostalgia
Oh, I
episode.
love the nostalgia episodes.
Yes, I remembered that, so that's why I arranged that for
Is that what
today.
you did?
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
just for
That's very nice of
you.
you.
I thought, our first episode after our 100th would be nice to have a nostalgia
Sure.
episode, right?
Sure.
Looking back at all the past episodes, it was actually kind of tough to find something to talk about that was nostalgic that we haven't already talked about. But I did find
It
something.
doesn't have anything to do with yoga, does it?
No. No, you just want people to drink.
Yoga. If you haven't
So,
heard, there's a drinking game called yoga. Every time
yeah,
we say yoga,
yeah, for
you
the
have to
60
drink.
Plus podcast,
Yeah.
you have to listen to it after 5 o'clock, though.
Oh,
Don't
that's
you
5
think?
o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 5 o'clock somewhere.
Or you could be retired and it doesn't matter.
No, maybe not. Okay, so what are we going to talk about today? I'm going to tell you. We're going to talk about
It's
our
almost like I wasn't needed at all.
our very first jobs. Like, we're going to start like from job 1, like how we made money. Back
Sure.
in the day, how
Back
did
in the
we
day.
make money? Right? Like, how old were you when you started making money? I mean, not like child labor or anything, but
Well, I worked in a tuna canning factory and I was
so
8.
like, what was the first thing that you ever did to actually make a little bit of money? Do you remember?
Probably, I know a lot of boys didn't babysit, but I babysat for a family across the street.
So you didn't make, so I made money from my own family first. Like, I remember one of the first things I ever did was weed for my mom.
Oh,
And
really?
she would give me 50, I was really little. She gave me 3, no, I'm kidding. She would give me 50 cents for a bucket of weeds, and I would try to find the largest weeds I possibly could find to fill up that bucket
Sure.
as
Why?
quickly as possible.
Okay. 50 cents, that's pretty good. How big a bucket was it?
Oh yeah, like what, one of those drums. No, I'm kidding.
55-gallon drum.
No, it's just like a little,
Like a pail that you would go to the beach with?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, she was generous.
She was, but she really didn't like to weed, so.
I-
But I also learned in the process of what was a weed and what wasn't,
okay.
you know? So that was kind of fun, but I never liked weeding sidewalks.
No.
That was the worst.
Through the cracks.
Brick sidewalks. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's the worst.
It is the
Yeah.
worst.
Yeah, and even today, quite frankly, I'm not a big weeder. I don't really love it. I think the weeds have a right to grow just like every other thing. And nobody's paying me 50 cents a bucket either.
Nobody's paying you 50 cents a bucket.
No.
I actually have a cobblestone walkway at my house,
Hmm.
and the weeds grow up through that, and it's not fun to weed it.
Yeah, you'd have to pay me a lot more than 50 cents a bucket, Joe. Sorry.
Well, it's not a big walkway. You might get 1 bucket, so.
Yeah, so that was like, I was pretty young, and I think I was always kind of motivated by money.
Were you?
Yeah, I was a saver,
Mhm.
I would save my pennies. I would save my Christmas money. I would like save up to buy something big that I wanted.
That you wanted
Yes.
for Christmas.
No. Like, I would save the money I got for birthday, Christmas, whatever,
Oh, okay.
and whatever I made.
No, I didn't. So I don't. Did you get an allowance?
I don't think I did.
Yeah, I
I
did not.
did not get an allowance. I do remember, however, when you went to grandparents' house or my aunt and uncle's or something, they'd give you, a couple bucks or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
which was a lot back then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'd save that up too. Um, but so when I was a little bit older, I also babysat, as you mentioned. But I think before that, I would cut the lawn, maybe.
Yeah. See, we didn't really have formal chores. It wasn't like, okay, Oh, I should take that back. My sister and I had to alternate kitchen duties after dinner,
Right.
but we never got paid for anything.
No,
No,
not that. But I
no,
did get paid for the lawn.
nope, nothing like that.
$2 for the front, $3 for the back.
Wow, that was generous.
Yeah. But that must have been when I was older because I don't think they'd let me cut the lawn. I was probably babysitting prior to that. But gosh, back then, back in the day, now they get like $20 an hour. I think we got $1.
I don't
If
think I think
if
I got
that.
50 cents.
Yeah, if that.
Yep,
Yeah. An
yep.
hour. Yeah.
The first thing I did to make money
Mm-hmm.
was put my teeth under my pillow, and I think I got a quarter.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
So would you like try to pull your teeth out just so you could get a quarter?
No, but do you remember that feeling of a loose tooth? Wasn't that the weirdest thing?
Yes, I do remember that feeling quite
Um,
well. Yeah.
and then a friend of mine and we built in his backyard a miniature golf course out of bricks and scraps of wood and whatnot, and we charged neighborhood kids to use the miniature golf course.
Oh, how entrepreneurial
It was,
of you.
and as I recall, we did quite well.
Mm.
Yeah.
I can remember setting up like a stand in the front yard and selling my like Barbie dolls and things like that.
You were selling your Barbie dolls.
Well, yeah, 'cause, after a while, you're like, I really don't want
After a
to.
while,
I don't know
Barbie's
if I
hair was
ever
looking
really played with Barbie dolls to begin with.
really.
Yeah, I wasn't really into that. No.
You were more of a Ken doll kind of person.
No, I was more of I like to be on my bike. I like to play with the neighborhood kids.
Okay.
Like to play games.
Okay.
Yeah, but we didn't really make any money
Court. You
doing
played
that.
court. Janet was the judge.
Paddywhacking.
Janet was the judge.
Wait, this episode is not about the games we played, Joe. This
Well,
is about how we made
you
money.
brought it up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's probably teen years, right? Like, what did you do teen years before you could officially work? Oh, I remembered something else. Go ahead.
I'm on the edge of my seat.
Yeah. Well, I delivered newspapers.
Oh, I always wanted to do that.
Yeah.
I just remembered something else.
But it was only once a week. And
Really?
it was
Oh,
like to the 50 houses in my neighborhood. It was a free paper. And I think I got $3 a week for
wow.
that.
Did you get tipped? Did you like?
No.
No. Okay.
No, and I also got attacked by a dog, so that was a short-lived
Oh
job.
boy.
Yeah,
So I was
that was fun.
probably hard to believe, but I was kind of short when I was younger.
No,
Yeah, I
really?
really was.
Mm.
And a neighborhood kid had come over the house and he was telling me about how he went to the local golf course and he caddied on a Saturday or a Sunday and he made I
A
forget how
lot
much.
of money,
Yeah,
probably.
probably. And I
Yeah.
was like, I want to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
So you would go to the golf course and you would sit on the caddy bench, and the golfers would come over and they'd say, "Okay, come on, we're going out." And I was the last one on the bench.
Oh, the
last one on
last to be chosen.
And a guy came and he had a very light bag, but I
Thank
wasn't tall.
goodness.
I wasn't tall enough, so I had the bag on my shoulder and it's just dragging on the ground. And I think he played 2 holes, and then he said, "Oh, I don't feel like playing anymore." And he turned around and he played the balls back towards the clubhouse, and he gave me a couple of bucks, and he said, "We're done for the day."
He played the balls back towards the club on the
I
same
couldn't carry his
holes.
clubs. I couldn't carry his
Oh
clubs.
my goodness, Joe. That was a short-lived career.
Yeah, I never went back. It was
No.
it was kind of devastating.
Aw.
So I think that was the first time I went somewhere to try and make some money,
Right. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it didn't go well.
No, doesn't sound like it.
But then there was shoveling snow.
Mm-hmm. I
Uh,
never did that.
no, my dad knew a guy who built houses, and he would hire me to go and shovel the snow off. Like he'd have like 5 houses and go shovel the deck and the walks and the steps, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty generous. I don't remember how much, but I remember him being very generous about it.
Nice. Yeah. So when I think about like the first job where you got an actual paycheck
Hmm.
from, it was Perkins Pancake House, and I was a hostess.
Really?
Yeah, I think I must have been 16, right? Isn't that when you could start working?
I don't know.
16.
The supermarket near us will hire you at 14.
Well, that must be a state by state
Maybe.
situation too, and I'm not sure what it is
Mm-hmm.
today, but I'm pretty sure it was 16 back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah. And that was, yeah. So and all of the waiters and waitresses would really be making all the money. I don't know what I was earning an hour, but you didn't get tips, as a hostess.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought, darn, I want to be, a waiter or waitress. But, and then I guess I didn't really last very long there. Yeah. How about you?
My first job where, I had a schedule and, I get paid at the end of the week was in an auto mechanic shop.
Oh,
And I was like the cleanup guy. I'd go around and
right.
I'd clean the tools and I'd hold something if they needed something to be held and I'd clean parts. And it was a real kind of old school mechanic. I mean, it was not, it's not like going to the dealership now and it's like
Right.
pristine clean. No, no, no. One of my jobs was actually scraping the grease off the floor with like an ice chopper thing.
Yeah.
And it was thick. It was like mud on the floor.
Wow.
They did a lot of automatic transmission work, and it would very frequently spill onto the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
That sounds like a fun job.
I would do that after school. I think I was probably 15. I would do that after school a few days a week,
Mm-hmm.
and yep, it was. My hands were always dirty and greasy. The grime was ground into my fingers.
Permeated.
It really did.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's hard to get off
But
that.
but I remember I made $2 an hour.
$2 an hour. That was
$2.
probably a lot back then.
$2 an hour. And when I was old enough to drive, that was my gas money that paid for my car insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I remember I would go to the gas station and get $2 worth of gas, and that would get me, maybe a week's worth of driving.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And
So-
not just to your job, hopefully.
No. Nope.
Yeah.
It was
Go out and gallivant.
oh yeah. Oh,
What was the car you were driving back then?
my first car, the first car I ever had, I bought it for $200. It was a 1965 unintentionally two-tone blue Mercedes-Benz.
Unintentionally.
Someone had painted like part of the car and it didn't match. And it was a diesel.
Oh,
It was
wow.
a diesel car.
Well, diesel was cheaper too, right?
Diesel was cheaper back then, but it was noisy and it was hard to start in the winter. The diesel fuel would get all thick and
Yeah.
I think I had it maybe less than a year,
Yeah.
and then I upgraded.
So when I was in high school and I was driving, I think one of my first jobs was working at a dry cleaner. But
You weren't pressing shirts.
no,
You weren't doing,
no, they had me work in the front counter.
okay. Kind of like the hostess at the Pancake House.
Exactly. It was always
You're a
the
front counter kind of person.
person. Which was still not a lovely job because you would have to like take these dirty clothes and you'd have to check pockets and you just
Did you
never
get to
know
press
what you were
the
gonna
button
find.
and have the big thing spin around to bring the clothes to?
Yes, I did get to press
you
the
know what?
button.
I still want to do that.
You probably want to hang from it and go around on it.
That would be fun, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I never got to hang on it, but yes, I used to have to do that and get the clothes. And they sent me off. I guess they trusted me. They sent me off to run a branch at one of the local towns, and
You
it
ran
was,
the dry cleaning branch?
yeah, it was a big deal, right? To get sent over for a couple of weeks because it was only a one-man operation. It wasn't, it was just the clothes,
Uh-huh.
right? So it was like a
Oh,
satellite.
it was just like a drop-off place. They didn't
Yes.
clean the clothes there.
Yes, drop off and pick up.
Okay.
Yeah. So I ran the counter there. So I was taking money and, whatever. I had to be responsible for the whole kit and caboodle.
There was a kit and a caboodle.
Yes.
There was a time when I used to have a lot of clothes dry cleaned. I haven't had clothes.
I don't have any dry
The
cleaning
last
clothes.
time, I can't remember how much it was, but I was shocked how much it was to have like
Yeah.
a suit dry cleaned.
Yeah.
I was
Now
shocked.
you want to do like organic, so stay away from the
Mhm.
chemicals.
So my next job. Oh,
Oh.
when I worked at the mechanic shop,
Mm-hmm.
I knew somebody who he was a lawyer,
Mm.
and he had a client that owned a billboard company.
Okay.
And you know how, well, you probably don't know, but at least at the time, they would charge for the billboard by the traffic count that would go by the billboard
Mm-hmm.
for a given period of time.
Right.
And he had some very low volume billboards.
Mm-hmm.
So not enough to warrant the automatic counter, like
Right.
the strip that goes across the street and you drive over it and it
Yes.
counts it. So for 2 weeks,
You
someone
would
would drive me around and they would drop me off on the side of the road and I would
Oh,
stand on the
wow.
side of the road for half an hour and click, 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 click as the cars went by. I would do half an hour in the morning and half an hour in the afternoon.
Did you get to put it on a spreadsheet?
No, there was no such thing as a spreadsheet then.
Oh, but you probably
No.
made out your own little table.
I probably did.
Yeah,
No,
that was when your first
my
love,
first spreadsheet love.
table making.
So that job it was only supposed to be a 2-week job.
You probably had a clipboard.
I did have a clipboard.
Yes,
Yep. And
you would have liked
and
that.
one of those little
Yeah.
clicker things. It was very
Oh
cool.
yeah, very official.
So that was kind of fun. And I remember telling my boss at the mechanic shop that I have to take 2 weeks off because I was making way more than $2 an hour counting cars on the
Yeah,
side of the
'cause
road.
nobody else wanted to do that.
No, it was easy. It was easy.
Yeah. What
I-
if you made a mistake? Be like, oh, I gotta start all over again.
Did I count that car? I mean,
How accurate was it?
there
Really?
were. I remember there were places, very very low volume kind of traffic,
Yeah.
and I'd be there for half an hour, and there were like 19 cars that would go by in a half an hour.
Yeah, you weren't gonna get a lot for that billboard.
No.
No.
So the guy that owned the mechanic shop
Mm-hmm.
also owned a liquor store, and people in the other parts of the country might not know how liquor stores are in Massachusetts.
Okay.
You don't buy beer or wine or liquor in a supermarket in Massachusetts.
Right.
So it's just a liquor store. And I was at the time the drinking age was 18, so I was in college. And I worked in the liquor store and I had so many friends.
I bet.
Mhm.
I bet.
Mhm.
Well, when we're moving up to college now, I can remember coming home for summer and thinking, I got to make as much money as I possibly can so I would have entertainment funds while you're at college. I had 3 jobs one summer,
Mhm.
and one of them was working for a real estate agent drawing up floor plans because he had this fancy system. You just think back at the time, right? Where you would make up these, it was called planogram, I think, where he would make up these sell sheets on the houses that were being
Mhm.
sold. And it would include a
Floor
color
plan,
photograph,
Sure. Yep.
right? Like a printed color photograph that he would take, then a floor plan, which I would draw up, and then the description, a bulleted description
And that's all you did was draw floor plans?
for one of my 3 jobs.
Oh.
So that was kind of fun because I learned how to draw floor plans, right?
Mhm.
You know, how do you make a window and a staircase? And I liked that. I thought at one point I might like to be an architect. So he would then send it to this printer to make up these sales sheets. So then I started working for the printer as a driver, he was like a, commercial printer type of thing.
Mhm.
So I would start delivering printing orders.
Really?
So, yes. And that was kind of fun because, well, I love maps. And back then, of course, no GPS.
No.
So you'd have to figure out how to get to where you were going. He would give me an address and put the order in my car, and
Mhm.
I would have to find my way. So that was kind of fun.
So,
And don't you want to know what the 3rd job was?
I do. I lost count.
I mean, why we're on the same summer?
Were you the front of the house for something else?
No,
What?
I worked in a factory,
Doing what?
the night shift,
What were you making?
pool covers. Now, you laugh, but let me tell you, it was kind of a dangerous job.
Really?
Yeah, because we would have to make seams in this like really heavy duty plastic.
With a big
And you'd
sewing
have
machine?
oh no, you'd have a buddy, right? And
Yeah.
you would operate this very heavy, hot steel bar that was probably about, oh, I don't know, 15 feet long, maybe. And you'd be on one end and they'd be on the other end. You would line up the plastic and you'd have to give a signal and you both press the foot pedal and that bar would come down. Well, your fingers were holding the plastic in place.
And it would like seal it?
It would put a seam in it.
Wow.
I did that for, hours on end. And I think you got like a small break or whatever. But yeah, so I was working day and night, man. Make some change.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. See?
Did I ever have it? I'm trying to think if I ever had a dangerous job. Standing on the side of the road. That was
Where there was no traffic.
where there was no traffic. No.
That was kind of dodgy.
I did work construction sometimes.
Yeah, that can be dangerous.
Oh, yeah,
certainly.
no, I remember being like when they would build a house, they would build the outer wall of the house laying down
Mm-hmm.
so that the wall would be on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
And they build it, and then you have to push it up. And there'd be guys standing up on the adjoining walls. So when you push the wall up, it would take maybe 4, 5, 6 people to push the wall up.
Yeah.
And I was always afraid we were going to push the wall over. So everyone would be pushing the wall up, and I'd be pulling it back like I was going to stop it from falling over. But yeah, work construction. I was probably in the best shape of my life working construction.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
What was your first office job?
Oh gosh, my first well, doing the drawings, that was it was in a
okay.
real estate office.
Yep. How did you get that job?
Friends of my parents had this real estate company.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said, I need someone to
So he wanted to
draw
do
floor
these.
plans.
Yeah, it was actually kind of, if you think about it, it was sort of groundbreaking, really.
Were you using like a drafting table and
Yeah.
like a
Ink,
T-square?
pen and ink.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Mhm. Yeah.
My first office job, I think I was an intern in an office at the Massachusetts State House.
Wow.
And I would commute into Boston every day, and we had to wear like a suit every day.
Mm-hmm.
And we dealt with legislators, and there were a bunch of interns in our office.
Mm-hmm.
And it was quite...
Well, I was down the street at State Street Consultants doing marketing research.
Ah.
Yeah. Making phone calls, trying to get to executives and stuff.
Yeah.
And I used to do the accents of where I was calling to try to get past what were then known as secretaries,
Yep.
not administrative assistants. So,
Mhm.
hey y'all, I've been calling Texas. How you doing today? Is Mr. So and So in?
That's your Texas
How you
accent?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think so.
Did it ever work?
It did.
Okay.
It did. And then they were like so happy with my performance that they promoted me to data entry. And I'm like,
how's that?
This is not fun.
That's
When I
not
go
an upgrade.
It was like in money too. And I'm like, I want to go back on the phone.
Mhm.
That was at least fun. I could entertain myself.
I remember the want ads in the paper when I was a kid, and there were so many ads for, this is going to date us, we're 60 plus, key punch operators. Do you remember key punch?
Yeah, of course. That's how we learned how to do, the data entry, right?
When I was in college, we
Yeah.
did computer programming on key punch cards.
Yep.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
it seems archaic now.
I know, right?
Yep.
It's like, well, that's a whole nother episode. It's like old technology, but
Sure. All
yeah.
right. Well, that's how Janet and I made money when we were younger.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember if I've forgotten anything, but I think that's pretty much it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for this week's episode of the 60 Plus Podcast. Probably more than you wanted to know about how Janet and I made money as younger people. Until next week, I'm Joe.
I'm Janet. Bye.